I might have started that short a little bit early. Should have added to it one more there to increase my basis. But I might have to abandon it if it doesn't give it up here quickly. All right, I'm sharing on Discord now. Ah, there we go. Sorry, not to be too loud. Once again, I need to focus on trading and not let it get up to 44 or so.
She looks like she's going to the opening range high.
Yeah. Right trade is obviously if you haven't don't have your fade card, you shouldn't be fading the market anyways. I started a little bit too early on this trade, so I might abandon it here. The zone's the zone and the levels that I was looking at are right here. 43. That's probably where I should have started. I have the ES up, at least on TradingView. So for those that are, I'm streaming, like I said, I want to not think about it anymore. Meaning what I mean by that is just not let streaming distract at all from my trades. Still answer questions, still go through stuff, but also have my environment set up where I'm good to go. And I don't make bad trades. And I never say that I made a bad trade because I was streaming. Yeah. This is where I should have started. Cutting the position.
To me, like it's going to go higher than the opening range. High.
Nope. I just aggressively played the wrong level. Lost about $3,000. So there we got the first tap. Yeah, I should have rode the momentum up until I got the first signal. I didn't get the first signal. Say the first signal that I got was 1730, but that didn't play out.
Looking really bullish.
Opening range high.
But she look to me, it looks like you can go higher than that.
Oh no, I think long term, yeah. But I'm playing the probabilities here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. At least a decent pullback to the M24 or RDA. Chart 3.
Yeah,
Chart
we're getting toppy now for sure.
chart 2.
But she looks like she may have legs yet.
See if it rolls over. I do have ES up. Going forward the next month or so, I'll be trading just gold, CL, and NQ. I might at a few times here and there trade it out for the ES. I still hate. I mean, I don't hate trading the ES. It's just I think the NQ, as I've said before, shared many times before, I think the NQ just trades much better. So I'll have to here shortly if this one doesn't work out and I lose another $1,000. I will kick myself for not fading. Well, no, the target is 078. That's what it's reaching for. So at a minimum, it's reaching for 078. The true strong level on chart 4, though, is right at just shy of 17,100. That's the true strong level on chart 4. So that should be the ultimate target. And I didn't check the news. I did check. I didn't see what the news was tomorrow. So tomorrow's existing home sales and consumer sentiment. And today, jobless claims and housing starts. So I didn't even check and see what it said at all. Not that it matters.
17,100 starting to look like a reality here.
Order filled. Order filled. Order filled.
It's nice volume coming in.
Great call, bad execution. Oh, you made a great call, bad execution. I see. I'm debelling this trade. Should have been thinking long, not trying to get aggressively on some kind of magical short that didn't give a signal at all, based on some kind of exhaustion pattern around a reactionary that didn't exist.
It's going to be interesting when it gets to 17,100 to see if this is really bullish or not.
Yeah.
I definitely think she's going to get there.
Well, I think 17,079 is the other spot that is primed for a sell-off. So
yeah,
I traded this morning, so I think part of me being aggressive is that I did well this morning, but it's a bad habit or bad. See, as soon as I got out, it did what I thought it was going to do. This is the this is the first signal of some kind of exhaustion right here. But I'm not going to fall for it. I'm going to wait for the 1779 area. Otherwise, I'll just then think long as buy some momentum. That should be all long. ES, I don't see a trade in the ES. It's the same pattern. So the in-play indicator, where is that at? Let's see what that's showing. Fast momentum 60, above, it's above everything pretty much. Let's see, the second I lost confidence in my short, it went to my profit zone. All right. Using RDA as entry, 17041 on NQ. I'll do the just an overshoot of the slow momentum at 17053 for a long entry. And then I won't enter until, I won't scale in until either RDA is tagged on chart 3 or RDA is tagged and held up on chart 3, then I'd scale into a long. I didn't get picked up.
Order filled.
I can make $1,000 here or something. So this, well, not this week, because what's today? Today's Thursday. I'll be
Yeah.
I'll be easing my way back into trading gold and oil. But today I think I'll just focus on an NQ since the ES is pretty much mirroring the same pattern. I don't see the need to trade both. Could see a pullback down to 17036.
Yeah. Looks like it may pull back.
I did short just 3 lots. I got too aggressive on my shorting. I didn't wait for the signal. A little rusty coming back from all the vacations, chilling, not doing much.
It's easy to do if you have trading because, you know, forget to look at certain things or.
Especially this morning, I got to trade about an hour and a half, and I was pretty aggressive. Did pretty well. You know, when you're almost you see the trades ahead of time and you're executing well. I was executing well. I didn't do anything but trade. I didn't get on. I wasn't sharing on Discord. I was just saying, let me see if I can go back and just like it used to be. Let me just trade. Like no distractions, just trade, you know? It felt pretty good.
Jed, are you still in the long trade on this?
Sorry, I was on a mute. Yeah, I'm long from 019 spot 25, protected at 037 spot 00, right above the M9.
I closed mine because I
then my target is 090 spot 25, right below below our high highs of the day, right below the weekly high. But looking at it, I think weekly high is the magnet. We're going up.
I think you're right. I got chicken there.
Order filled.
Had a nice trade.
I get chicken when we get to 079 spot 00.
It's still, to me, it still looks very good to the upside.
No, it does. I mean, that was just an overshoot of, on chart 3, just an overshoot of the slow momentum, well within the extreme band. That's why I just reversed and went long. So I'm, I make a mistake 2 times in a row. That's enough for me. I was in profit where I could have took a couple $100, but then I just reversed right around break even. Now I'm in 6 lots long at 17,066. And I'm not going to let it go against me, so I'm going to put a hard stop in.
And where do you normally place that hard stop? I know.
It's I was going to say Pacific. I used to know someone that instead of saying specific, they'd say it's Pacific. They'd say Pacific instead of specific. So it'd be an inside joke, but it's specific to the chart, to where I'm at. Usually I have a protective trade, but right now what I decided to do instead is actually just break the 6 lots into 2 lots each, and now I have trailing stops following it up.
You just placed it. What would you put it like?
Well, this one, yeah. If I would have played, let's say, didn't make this move here, this impulse move, I would have placed it just above my entry, and hard stop at 6 lots, and just that way I don't have to watch it. I could go do stuff. I could chat on the stream. I could go tackle Rex. But like now, where it's stalled, kind of did this impulse. I'll move my stops around now, and I'll adjust them. So I'm adjusting my trailing stops to get below the slow momentum on chart 3, to give it enough room to kind of come down, test the fast momentum again. It blew through that chart 3 level.
1 point above where your price entry was.
Yeah, I don't get that specific. I mean, I kind of place it based on. I like to cover fees, so I'm adept enough to know where to place it to at least cover fees if I get knocked out of the trade on volatility. That makes sense.
Oh yeah.
I watched your video, obviously, and you put it farther back, but listening to you trade, they were a lot closer. So I just wanted to ask you how you were placing those.
Yeah, it's very situational based on my basis and what I see the chart's doing. Like with that impulse move, it's gonna hit 0.98. I mean, I think it's gonna hit 0.98, and it looks like it has appetite to actually exceed it. So I want to try to stay in this trade to at least hit 0.98, given the volatility, and then see what happens there. And then since I've been talking, I haven't got to project out what I think might be the projected move on this actual move here. So if we look at that, sorry if I'm not, did I answer your question first before I move on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you did. I understand what
Yeah,
you're
thank
doing.
you.
So now I'm going to try to project out if we get above 100, where do I want to start looking? And I'll use the extreme bands of the RDA, and 135 appears to be that zone. We have another, and I like that zone because, you see on the screen, you've got an evening out here. You have an expansion here at 147, but then you've got an evening out, and then right now where it's at, it's evening out right around that 31, just above that 31, 34 to like 127. So 127 to 134 is where, if it exceeds this level, I'd be looking for clues of a first signal on chart 3 to then short. And that's aggressive, obviously, because it might just keep going. So, I'm preparing for a break of the. I mean, we're at all-time highs. So if we break this strong, the only strong level we have left of the chart on chart 4, I go back to the 4-chart setup. If we break the only strong level we have at 17,100 or 0.96 or so, I'm using the extreme bands on the 5-minute chart of the RDA to project out where do I want to start looking for the next reaction area. You know,
Mhm.
I'm always thinking, even when I'm in the trade, I'm thinking about the next trade. And part of that, though, is it's helping me then try to maximize profit, but I'm also thinking about the next trade because thus I'm an always in trader. So I'm looking to say, okay, where is it going to stall? Where's the most likely area? It gets very tough when you are at all-time highs and you have this exuberance, because the number one thing you got to guard against is that it looks like it should hit an exhaustion, but it might not hit that exhaustion today. And then I could really burn up my account if it exceeds this by knowing that it's probably going to sell off in this zone, but never waiting to be patient for the signal for it to sell off. But then it does
Mhm.
overnight, right? An hour after the open, after settlement, in the overnight session, it goes up, it ranges a bit, and then it does the big sell off or the exhaustion sell off that I was expecting. So,
Right.
I'm projecting out, based on obviously what the price action is doing now. But for a
Got it.
while, that used to be what I just shared with you used to be one of my biggest hangups. Is I'm and like Tolman said in Discord, great call but bad execution. I'd call reaction areas. Just I wouldn't the time. I would be off in the timing. But the zone was right on, but then the timing and then staying in the trade and then you know what I mean? So, getting in and getting out, making small profits here or small losses here, so anyways. So we're at the,
Well, two things.
go ahead.
Two things about it. I was thinking that if you would have continued to scaling up, keeping your price moving, price level, price level, entry price level, uh, above, let's say M9, eventually sooner or later you're gonna be in positive.
Yep.
It's due for the retracement. But having also, when you're speaking about projection forward, I'm looking at the daily, and there is a level roughly at right now at 129 or 130. Do you think that's a kind of a realistic projection target from the projection standpoint of view?
Are you looking the daily on,
NQ.
NQ? Okay, let's look at
Yes.
that. Okay. For some reason, I thought we were at all-time highs. That's because I didn't update that. Oh, okay. Yeah. So 128 is what you're saying, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that we have not, I think we have something about, no, I think we don't have anything about it.
Yeah.
It's resistance free.
That whole conversation I just had about all-time highs, um, the projection actually works out on the 5-minute chart aligning with that daily level. So 128, that 128 zone, probably the 130 to 140 zone is where I would look for the exhaustion to happen,
Mhm.
which aligns with
Got
that.
it.
So, and then I would, uh, be, be looking towards an over, like all zones or all levels. Look forward to, I don't know what do I constantly say? Expect a overshoot.
Mhm.
So I moved up my stops a little bit just because it now this might be a good entry. If I'm thinking about going long again here, but I would go long if it comes back and tests the RDA in chart 3. Um, I'd be knocked out of this trade, but then I'd go long again if we get a reversal pattern on chart 3. I'm just thinking about, okay, what's happening here? Came up, went down, got above that level, got above the strong level. It's not holding above that strong level at 0.98 yet. So if it does, I'd look for something around 17.072 for it to find some type of support. Got knocked out of 2 of my lots. For those that are in TradingView or that are on YouTube, you'll find a link in the description to follow.
Hey, Rex, I don't know, are you streaming? Oh, I just answered my own question, so no worries. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so you can follow. There's a link to Discord. That's the best place to trade rooms there. The groups there, best place to answer questions, share charts, trade setups. So definitely check that out. If you're new to what we do here, you should check out the website rexdogtrading.com.
If I may, I'm also kind of noticing that we're at the top of the extreme bands,
Yeah,
third data band, right? So it's a good situation for the fade trade to develop at the same time.
yeah. I'm itching to fade, but I'm not.
Right.
I'm waiting more for that. I'm still in the bias long, momentum long mode, where I should have been from the start of this, until we get to that 0.1330 level.
Okay.
I think the other thing we have in our favor is that we have, or not the long hat, not we, the long has in its favor is you got that key level on chart 3 at 17.079, which aligns with the RDA on chart 2. So I got knocked out of 4 lots. So on this pullback, if it continues to pull back, I still will be thinking long for the upward target of 130 or so. But we do have a switch over in momentum on chart 2. So that's something to watch. Just switched. This is something I talk about often, especially throughout the training, which is, or when we go back and we look at a day, in hindsight on a chart, it's so obvious, but in real time, you've got to pick up these little small machinations of the changeovers. And you have to project, because as price continues to move in one direction, because these are lagging indicators that we use for some of the signals in the system, in real time, it doesn't look the same it does at the end of the day, just because they're lagging indicators and how it paints. So you have to project some of that sometimes. Where it looks like a perfect touch, in real time, sometimes it's not a perfect touch. But like here's a prime example. We're in a switchover state. And if it uses this level here at 0.97, the strong level, to sell off, then the short trade would have been the right trade. But now we got to switch over back of momentum on chart 3. I don't know. I'm still long in 2 lots, so I'm kind of on the point of, part of me wants to reverse and start adding to a short. If it tags the M9, I'll probably do it.
The M9 on which chart?
Chart 3.
C1?
Chart 3. Or chart 2, sorry. Chart 2.
Chart 2, okay.
So when I'm watching a trade really closely, most of the calls that I'm making is on chart 2. I'm watching chart 2 closely. Especially when I'm doing this kind of precise scalping where I'm saying, okay, well, the overall, look, if we look at the market, I mean, if we pulled up the Rexdog market bias indicator, which I can do on one of our charts, it would be flashing market bias long on every time frame. So every time frame is long.
I was confused.
Huh?
You were saying chart 3 so that's why I was confused, and that's why I asked the question.
Yeah. But so any short that I'm talking about here is an aggressive short because every time frame is market. It is long bias, right? Long bias and momentum. Momentum long and long bias and momentum and long momentum every chart. So any short at this point in time is is against bias and momentum on every time frame. But I am short now. So I'm short 6 lots. I'm looking for potentially a test down to the RDA. And then I will put a fixed stop. I'll put in trailing stops just above the high there. Because this is going to move quick if it's going to move. There we go. So the next level to watch is 1705. I want to see it tag that, and I'll take some profit there. At 1785, if it even gets there, it might not get there. So I'm done. I'm just going to bracket my short position with trailing stops at the top and then some targets down below. That way, if it does whipsaw, I don't get hurt. So the reason it's 17086, remember, I'm talking all chart 2 here. So when I'm doing these kind of like aggressive scalping, I'm watching chart 2. Of course, I have the other charts in mind, but on chart 4, we have the fast momentum at 17084, which aligns with chart 2's RDA. So that would be a good test to come down on chart, to sell off here on chart 4, the big tick chart, test the fast momentum, find support at the fast momentum, turn around and go back up to the 130 level. Is that clear to everybody?
Yes, it is to me.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm watching with popcorn right now because I did not take this short.
What? Oh. So for the person that on TradingView that asked, primarily I like to be on Discord. That's where the group is. That's where the live trade room is. All the indicators that you see we're trading with. I have the yellow indicator you see is the RDA. Actually going to be releasing a couple new indicators around the line here in the next week. That will be public. But I have for years, and since I've started trading, really only I have a training, sold it for one price, and then it's one-time fee, no ongoing fees. Consistently, I do it. Everything, everybody. I mean, I don't. Has anybody gone through the value channel stuff, the updated one? I know a few people did.
I'm working my way through it.
Yeah.
I went through the first video. Yep. It's good stuff.
So for instance, we can look at this where I'm currently at, and we hit my first target. So we hit the first target, the first level. I'd like to see an overshoot of the RDA at 17082, and then maybe think about going long. Below that, maybe at the extreme band, maybe at 17076. So I don't draw value channels because I see them. So I see this mini channel that we're trading within right here. I see this channel here in chart 2. I see the channel that has been formed, and then I can kind of reason out, well, where's the 50%? Where's the 75%? Where's everything? So I used to draw value channels because I hadn't trained my mind to see it. All right, there we go. So we've got the test. We've got the RDA test. So we got the overshoot too. The question is, do you believe that or do you wait for the 058?
Stop field.
All right, I'm out completely. And now I'm just going to wait for some kind of signal to say, should we go long or short?
Still long.
Yeah, I think so too. But I'm going to put an entry at the RDA.
Scalp right there.
What's up?
That was a very good scalp you just demonstrated.
No, thanks. So now I have an entry at the RDA on chart 2. Going to be patient. If this gets picked up, I'm going to be looking for, well, I don't want to see much of an overshoot, or I don't want to see it get past 17074 on the downside, which is an extreme of the chart 2 RDA band. Because what do we really, what's our next? We're in that alpha on chart 4. And that alpha, the base of that alpha is at 17066. And then below that is the slow momentum on chart 4. I'm talking chart 4 here. So chart 4 slow momentum is at 17050 or 058, sorry. 17057. So, maybe the target here on the downside, if there is more downside, is a slow momentum check at 057. But it does appear to be holding the RDA, at least initially here. So upside, our most important level at this point in time is 17.1, or actually 17094.
Field.
Was anybody else going long or short? And the person who was long from the bottom, did you take any profit on this?
Actually, I have a stop loss that I just did, just got me out on this retracement. So I'm also thinking, where do I re-enter, assuming that this thing is going up? Where do I scale in? And I want to put the limit order going long from 070 spot 25 above the M9.
025?
070 spot 25.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just one lot.
I would be lower than that if it's to get there. I'd be down to 059 or so. Just because that's the M24 in chart 4.
Uh-huh.
So, but
I like it too.
I don't know. This could be just this move here. We could just be an overshoot here of the RDA, and we're going to see support. Now, if we get really granular, as far as, okay, on chart 2, if you want to say what are the 2 most important levels right now, chart 2 is telling you that 085 to the upside, but now that's no longer in play. So now, based on this last move, it's all, I'm going to reverse.
Order field.
I'm going to short. And then I'm going to go long right around 059. Probably a little bit lower than that. Probably to 054 is probably the target. I don't know. It's getting pretty volatile. So I think that got to be, I'm looking at slow momentum check on chart 4. That's where 059 comes in to 057, that range.
Yep.
So I'm shorting 2 lots. I'm not too heavy yet. I mean, I haven't got too heavy, I will get up to. I'm thinking here, what time is it? Okay, so we got we're going into the final hour of the market, cash market. Let's look at the 5 minute, see if we can glean anything. 5 minutes checking fast momentum. This could be a test down to the opening range high. Exceeding that a bit, a tag of the M24 on the 5 minute at 043, find support, and then ripping back up. But that's a pretty big move. So maybe it just stops at the either here or stops at the opening range high at 053.
Order filled.
This is the first test of the fast momentum here in this move. First pullback to it on the chart 1.
Yep. M9.
Yeah.
Order filled.
All right.
This is where Jedi usually buying.
I got triggered long from 070 spot 25.
Yeah, I'm long too. I reversed because it seems like it's holding up at the M9 on chart
So
1.
far.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to get in. I'm in 4 lots, see if I can get up to like 10 or 12 maybe. But I don't, we'll see if we have another reaction at that strong level. Our next strong level on chart 4 now is at 17,103. We did have a previous strong level, which now is a weak level at 093. So I think there could be another reaction there. And then you look to get picked up long on one of the momentum indicators on chart 2. Or just put it all on green and go long.
And pivot 2 is coming up.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Use 200% of your day margin and go long.
Oh,
What's up? Yeah.
close above the high there. It's all systems go.
Yeah.
I already did that on my demo account. That's how I posted when I became a multimillionaire overnight.
Yeah.
1,000 lots.
Go to the bank and try to pull it out. That's the key. I mean, could you, if you can not go to the bank, if you can wire it, if they're willing to wire a demo account, then I'm all for it. So I got picked up at the fast momentum, and then chart 2, I have another entry at 086 long. But if it hits there, it better find support really quick. Otherwise, the next level that is important is 105. Gets above 105, then I think we're going for that 130 to that 135 to 140 possibly. We are 10 minutes from the close of the 60. So expect, in another 7 minutes. Well, this 5 minute candle close here, if this can close above 088, then the volatility of the closing candle for the hour could push it up above the high. We have 4 minutes in this candle, so I guess I'll just have to be okay with 6 lots here. Probably $1,700. Now I'm going to put trailing stops on my 6 lots, and where I'm going to put the stops here is I'm going to give it a little bit of room because of my position. Started one, so I have 6 lots. I broke it up into 2s. Started one right at entry. I started another one at 082. So my entry's at, what is my entry? 085. So about, 3 points, not 3 points, but 082 and 079 is where I put my stops. Which is, I should be able to do the math and the calculation. It ticks away, but but I'm just giving it enough room to have volatility to basically what I'm really trying to do is give it enough volatility to hit the slow momentum on chart 2 a couple times, once or twice, and still be in the trade and not lose too much on this trade if it does just happen to spike down. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Yeah, that's helpful. I'm always curious about trailing stops, where to put them. So that's really helpful.
And then I'll adjust them. Like I said, that's why I also like Sierra chart, because yeah, you can just drag the stops. All right, there we are. We're at that previous strong level at 102, 103 or so. You're looking on chart 2 for that to be exceeded, come back, and then be used as a support. I want the M9 to get up there and support it as well. So I'm going to give it a little bit more room. Adjusted some of my top stop. It looks like it's set to just fire. There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's going to 139.
Yeah, I agree. So now it's just a matter of, if it does, can I stay in volatility wise and then not do something stupid on trying to sell on probably where it should sell off, right? Wait, all I'm thinking about now is, okay, I'm in 6 lots, I'm up $2,700 now. Make sure my stops are far enough away where I don't get knocked out in volatility. And if I do get knocked out, I want to maybe be quick to maybe go long again if I still think that the long's happening just because I got knocked out in volatility. I think the move is still in play. So let's say I did get knocked out here in volatility, I might just go long again and just have to walk away with $1,200 in profit instead of where I'm at $2,700, but then I'm restarting over my position. So that's what I'm thinking about. The other thing I'm thinking about too is, okay, don't get complacent and wait for the counter signal to reverse and go short. So I'm thinking in my mind, don't get fixated on it's got to sell off here, it's got to exhaust here, in this session. So that's the other thing I'm thinking in my head, just to guard against doing something stupid, shorting when the trade doesn't exist.
Yeah, we're definitely at a failure area. At the same time, we go up 30 points.
Yeah. Yeah, what I'm trying to do in these streams and stuff now going forward too is kind of like I've been doing here, sharing more what I'm really thinking, and what I've learned as far as, the years and what's second nature to my thinking, but then what you don't, because I don't verbalize it, you don't necessarily know that that's driving into my decision process. So I'm trying to verbalize more of my thinking that for me is second nature, but that I don't ever discuss, but that is a component of the system and a component of how we do risk management and trade. But in the stream, rarely do I tell you kind of like, oh, here's what I'm projecting. Is that helping, or does that make sense?
No, absolutely. It's awesome. Thank you very much for sharing that detailed analysis,
Yeah.
and especially when we're doing it live.
Yep.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Hearing the inner process is second that.
Yeah, so there I almost got knocked out of, you can see my top trailing stop, but it went down and checked the fast momentum, and so far holding. So I was prepared for, if it was going to get below the RDA, to potentially then just restart over the position. But it looks like just a pullback. Now we are into, I repeat myself, so I'm not going to say, I look at increased volatility around closing time on the hour candle, 3 minutes before and 3 minutes after there's increased volatility. So generally, what you want to do really is project out using the 5-minute candles, the 5-minute chart. What does this 5-minute close based on increased volatility? What does this 5-minute want to do? And then what does the immediate 5-minute candle want to do into the new hour? So
Mhm.
sometimes I might even adjust my trailing stops or my stops now, just because I know that there's about 6 to 8 minutes of increased volatility. Directionally, I'll be right. But if I don't adjust for that increased volatility, spikes, I might get knocked out on spikes and stuff like that. So I'm going to take my upper trailing stop and move it down to closer to my entry, just because we're in that increased volatility. So I'm going to risk a little here, meaning risk, making less than if it does pull back and hit my stops than if I just kept it in place. Also think, well, we have that last 60-minute candle is a pretty bold statement from the momentum check. I mean, what do we have today? If you look at it, we have an upward move, a test that went all the way down to the RDA I'm talking chart 3. So on chart 3, it went all the way down to the RDA and the slow momentum here on chart 3. And found support. And then we don't even have a 3-candle pattern to take over that alpha, that minor alpha. This is a 2-candle pattern with strength. So I would expect at least one more follow through on the green side, and then a rollover on the 60-minute, the pattern I'd be looking for. All right, we're about to have the hour close here. Another probably 45 seconds. I don't know. I don't have the seconds showing. I actually do on TradingView. Doesn't it show that? Yeah. 18 seconds. 18 seconds. We'll get it close to the hour. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's pivot 2, right?
Yeah.
Second pivot of the day.
Afternoon.
So would you be so kind? Can you expand a little bit on the pivot, what it is, and why it's important?
Yeah, I just noticed throughout the years that there's certain times in the afternoon. Pivot 1 is I have exact times, but this is where pivot 2 happens, and it's a little bit after this. It's the last hour of the market. It's the first kind of like 8 to 12 minutes of the last hour of the market is generally a pivot of a impulsive move in one direction. And it's 5 minutes before that and 5 minutes after that, but generally and usually it's in that time. So the first pivot I find more reliable in the afternoon, which is the first pivot, which you can go back in charts and you can just say, okay, at 13, at 14, at 1404, there was a pullback to momentum. It held, and then it was long the rest of the day. And I've just seen a pattern over the years that those are the pivot times. So I look for what is the chart looking at, or what does the chart look like, and then with this pivot time frame, what indicator level or zone will it pull back to? That would be a pivot if I looked at this at the end of the day.
So when you say 1404, was that Eastern time?
Order filled. Order filled.
Give me a second. I don't know why I can't. Sorry, I just got knocked out of I got knocked out in profit, but I got knocked out of that trade, so I'm re-entering the long position. I can't think of. I've been doing this years, but I can't think of the exact times. No, I do share that, so I got to find where that that image is. But yeah, I say market time. So on my charts, you'll see I'm still on Central Time where I'm at.
So you meant 1504 Eastern then?
No, I meant 14 because that's so the first pivot is at 14, which for my time is 13. And then the second pivot is well, the first pivot is actually, let me find that image. Someone shared it in the den recently too. I have exact times that I nailed it down. I just it's around those hour changes, but actually I found this is where I'm trying to find the exact changes. There it is. Okay. I'll reshare it.
So is it given intention it wants to go down now?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Hold on, I gotta watch the trade. I'm in 10 lots.
Order filled. Order filled.
All right, well, I'm checking chart 4 for a 074 potentially. So I'm in 14 lots in profit, long. That might be an overshoot of the RDA, but my position's way too tight. So we're in the pivot time. Which is, yeah, I'm sorry, 15. So 1508 to 1515. So we're not quite there. But so I noticed that generally, and you'll have, like right now, we're about 4 minutes before the pivot time window. This isn't exact. Like everything else in trading, remember, this isn't exact. But I just noticed that about 8 minutes in the last hour of trading, about 8 minutes to around 15 minutes, that 7-minute window, plus or minus, 2 to 5 minutes on both sides. But that you'll find the last hour pivot in that time. So this would qualify as the last hour pivot. So for me, using how I use this information is that we just had a pullback down. The most important level for if I caught the second pivot of the afternoon is right now, according to chart 2, 17085. So the market, the charts are telling me that 17085, it can come back and retest it, but it better hold it because we're getting close to the pivot time. And then what I would see in looking at the end of the day is that it would be so obvious at the end of the day is that, hey, around pivot 2, it came back, it did a fake kind of sell off, found support, and then it was long the rest of the day. Does that make sense? Am I being too wordy or does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
That's good. At least it makes sense to someone. No. I really should put this in the training. I just it's in the training. I just don't remember where or that page is up. So I'm up. Sorry. I can't talk. I need to manage my position. I'm in 14 lots, up about 2,400. I'm going to break this up into threes, and I'm going to put my trailing stops. Oh, I'm just going to wait here. I want to see it hold the RDA at 17,092 on chart 2. So I'd like to see it come up and test 17,105 and stall there. I'd be fine if it stalls there. I just wanted to test it. I wanted to tag it at least. I want to see it tag it here pretty quick. So to me right now, the most important levels are 17 to the upside, 17,106, and then 17,085. Those are the only two levels I care about. My position is at 17091. 14 lots. 09175. Spot 75. Ideally, I'd want it closer to the 086. I'm going to put protective stops in below the 085 level. Sorry, I wasn't, if you are watching the screen and I'm not sharing the 4-chart layout, usually I want to be showing that. So if I'm not showing that and you're on the stream, just say, hey, you left it on TradingView or something.
Will do, for sure.
I did a fixed stop just above my entry of 14 lots. That way I don't have to watch it and I can talk on the stream and everything else. If I get knocked out, I'll probably go long again. There. I want to see it tag 105 here pretty quick. Now we're in the pivot time. So this is the pivot time. Remember, it's not exact, but I found that in my, what I basically did number one, I started noticing it in real-time trading. And then what I did is I fanatically, over the course of a couple days, just went back in charts and basically with a notepad, and then I moved to an Excel spreadsheet, just went day by day and just said, okay, man, let me look. I think I built a TradingView indicator that basically I did. I built a TradingView indicator where I could basically say, hey, I want to highlight these times during the day. So I didn't have to find it. I just had to just go back. And then basically what I did is I just went back 4 or 5 years and basically said, did pivot happen around, did the pivot happen? Okay, there we go. We're starting to move. So I'm going to remove my trailing stop. I'm going to start adding 3. I'm just putting them above my position just to kind of let it move as the market moves up.
Is this what you typically see on a pivot right now?
Yep. Now, when did that pivot start though? That pivot started at 1503, right?
Okay.
So that's why I say, the pivot window is, I found that if you made it right, the first 5 minutes I found didn't happen as much as after the first 5-minute candle closed. So in this second pivot, I found in my analysis, I didn't do backtesting. I did visual backtesting where I literally took 7 markets and that I was trading, Forex markets, 2 Forex markets, CL, GC, NQ. And I went back 3 or 4 years in charts with a spreadsheet and said, did the pivot happen close to 1508? And then I didn't think about it. I just kind of knocked it out. And I found, I don't remember, I can see if I can maybe find that spreadsheet, but it was statistically pretty high that a pivot happened at least 2 or 3 times a week around that time. To give it a little bit of room, but 6, 9, 12. I'd like to see an impulse now. Here in this next, so we just closed a candle. You'd like to see this 5-minute candle just continue the last green candle, ideally, and not pull back into the previous candle too much. I'm talking about the 5-minute chart 1. Ideally, you want to see it stay above the 75% range of that previous candle and just continue from there. And then I think you will see those type of impulsive moves where it's just going to start, kind of ripping upward. But jury's still out on that here.
Do you think 130 is still valid? Looking at the daily.
I think that's too aggressive based on what we're doing here. I think it's almost the 145 to 155 range is probably where you probably want to. I'd be open to it at 130, but if it does continue momentum long and bias long on chart 2, and it's still at 130, then I would expect the next impulse to go up to that, above that 145 level.
Got it. Thank you.
So once again, if you're, feel free to join on Discord. You'll see a link down below the video or in the description. It's the best place. I stream there. Our trade room's there. You'll see that we have, good, probably about 15, 20 alpha members here today in the trade room, trading the system. So those are the other people that you hear. So definitely join us in Discord. So this weekend, I want to knock out a couple more puzzle videos, or at least 1.5 more puzzle videos in the training. Now that the value channel 1 is I'd say 90% complete. As more people go through the updated version, if there's questions, then I can add, a 5 or 6 minute video here and there for things that maybe weren't covered, or that are still, people still have questions about. But I think it's pretty straightforward once you understand the concept, if you're new to it. Kind of frustratingly that it's stalling here. Like I said, yeah, ideally you want to see it stay above that 75 percentile of that previous, like not an alpha, but that previous green candle. We do have, it's coming down doing an RDA check on chart 2.
So on the value channels, I've got the top of the value thing is on 17,124 on a 60-minute.
Top on the 60-minute. 17,124.
NQ, that's,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and it's actually behaving quite well.
I think the other thing that happened today too is that it went down, didn't test the NDX open, weekly open, but it tested the NQ weekly open and it held.
Yeah.
Which, for those that maybe are trading the overnight session, it's a little too early to predict, but there is a possibility that the overnight session might have some, 2 or 3 decent moves. Probably an impulse up to the downside, then maybe even a test. And what I'd use for some of that is the opening range high. If we end at the highs here in the overnight session, I would expect at least a test to the opening range high in the overnight session if we end at the highs here. It might, though, sometimes you see overnights where it just, we have news tomorrow, right? Existing home sales, but that's not really, we have consumer sentiment at 10, but that's not really a market moving. So there's no real news tomorrow. So we could be just setting up for the overnight session, could just sell off a bit and then just slowly be a momentum long or even a momentum short, kind of a good majority over the overnight session. What you want to be thinking if you do trade the overnight, I know I'm getting ahead of myself here, is just, what is the market setting up for tomorrow? Okay, well, you have the previous levels that you can use from today that are significant reaction zones. But as far as what the market's going to be looking at or projecting to look at, what is it setting up for tomorrow is really what you're thinking about. All right, so the pivot is over, meaning the pivot time. So, and then how I would, just to kind of close the loop on that so it's very clear, how I would really look at that is, oops, is I would, sorry, I'm up roughly 40, still in 12 lots, up roughly 4,100. So I'd go to my pivot time here, and I would want to see, this is my pivot time, and I'd want to see that this pullback here pretty much resulted in the full move for the end of day pivot, for the full impulse of that move. And so far, if this holds up, if momentum and bias holds up here, which I don't know if it is, it's starting to stall a bit.
Stop fear.
Yeah, we're starting to get knocked out of some stuff here. Ideally, you want to see this close hold. But even if it doesn't, and it comes back and checks the momentum, the pivot will still be in place if it comes up and closes above the highs. I got knocked out a couple trailing stops. I'm still in 8 lots. I'm going to break that up into 2 separate twos. See if I can stick with it for a little bit, because it is just slowing. It's lost momentum, starting to stall. Hitting the fast momentum in chart 4 as well. You know, this is where it can be frustrating as well. So I think about what I'd be thinking is that, well, we have our target at 140 or 130, 155, 160 is the upward target, we think. It could just stall out here and just range out. That's the other thing. But also, that move might not happen until the last 15, 20 minutes of the market. We're not even near that yet. We still have 20 minutes away to go for that to happen. So what you can't do during this time, what I used to do, years ago, during this time, I would churn my account because I found I was right on the direction, just the timing. I didn't have the patience to wait this 20 minutes and either adjust my stops accordingly, or if I get knocked out here, so I'm only in 6 slots left, to re-enter on a pullback of momentum and bias, because the charts on all time frames are still bias momentum long. So, but because oftentimes you will see, the other thing I'll add is you'll see in the last 20 minutes of the market, you will see sometimes some impulse moves that go out and take the target that you identified, but it didn't happen until the last 15, 20 minutes of the market. And even sometimes that happens within settlement, past the close of the cash market. So it doesn't happen maybe the last, if you are trading this late in the market. I know some people that just like to get off. I don't know if that sounds right. A lot of people that like to get off on the market, but I know some people like to jump off. But I think some of the best, if you can get adept at it and you can get good at it, some of the best trading happens in the last hour of the market sometimes. I've shared this often, and I'll share it again, especially for people that maybe you have a job and you're like, well, how do I fit in friggin' trading? Like, it's impossible. I can't day trade. Well, find a way to, I owned a business, so it was easier for me, obviously. I earmarked the first hour and 20 minutes, 30 minutes of the day that I would trade, and then I would trade the last hour of the market every day. And I told my team, I can't be contacted. As far as you know, I'm out in the mountains with no phone. So, unless there's an absolute emergency, I can't be contacted. So I'd shut off all my business stuff. I'd shut off everything. And I adjusted my day to be able to trade 2 hours a day. So I got really adept at trading the last hour of the market and taking those opportunities. They don't always exist, but they do exist quite a bit. Anybody else long?
Yeah, I'm still hanging around.
Yeah.
I'm long from 070 spot 25 protected at 090 spot 75 below the M9.
Sweet.
Yeah, so far so good.
I'm still in 6 lots, positions at 17,089, and then trailing stops are below the chart 2 RDA, broken up by twos. Hoping that, or not hoping, just waiting. I don't have any desire to add just because I don't have confidence at this point that it is going to continue up. So I'm just going to let these positions. Ordinarily, if I was not streaming, I wouldn't be watching the screen. I'd have it up on one monitor and I'd be doing something else besides. And then if I do get knocked out, I'll make the assessment whether or not it makes sense to go long again. I will say that if 098 gets broken, the next level on chart 4 is all the way down at 070. So you do have the slow momentum at 084, which also correlates. I think I shared that earlier. I said, that the pivot, that's the most important level is 084. So to me, the rest of the afternoon, 084 still matters for whether or not I would go long. So let's say I get knocked out of this position here. This is what I'm thinking. If I get knocked out of these 6 lots just because it's not ready to make the move, the only level I care about at this point in time, based on the information the charts, all the charts are giving me, is that 084. If I got knocked out, I would consider going back long if 084 holds, and then trying to catch maybe what might be an afternoon impulsive move. Otherwise, I'm just trying to stay in as it ranges here and as volatility has slowed. Does that make sense? Someone did ask to look at LCID.
Yes, it makes sense.
LCID. Let's look at that real quick. Lucid Group. Oh, holy shnikes. I don't know. I'm looking at LCID, and if this is the right ticker, I mean, it's lost value in the last, 2 weeks from 450. Excuse me, that didn't sound great. Oh, hiccup and a burp, kind of. Anyways, and it's down to 265. So I know nothing about it, but consumer durables, motor vehicles, 262 is the time to buy. Not based on my scenario. So I have no you have no data over there. So, if I looked at LC, well, I'll look at the 12-month time frame. Yeah. I don't know. But generally, you know, you'll read this in stock books and everything else, equity books. Why mess around with something that you have no historical data? You're just gambling here. On something like this, it's sold off and it's continuing to sell off. Yeah, maybe it might find a bottom, but it has no indication of it yet. So unless you have some kind of other information, then I would say I'd ignore it. LCD looks like no play to me. Oh, we got an RDA check on. Sorry, I have the super lines up. I was checking Bitcoin. We have an RDA check on the daily happening as I speak, so we're looking for that maybe to hold. We are getting a pullback on the NQ here a little bit. Broke the RDA, probably going to take me out. Like I said, I'm watching then the 0.84 level to see whether or not how far
Stop this.
this sell-off will go. Oh, man. Part of me wants to add to the long here because it did hold up the RDA. Let me mute.
Order filled.
I added 2 more lots. Long.
If you don't know, you're not actually sharing the NQ right now, the 4 chart.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I mean, I could make it so that it always share that, but then what I found is that sometimes I do want to jump over to TradingView, and then it's not easy to switch that over when I'm streaming. So I'm just sharing the monitor itself. So whatever's on that monitor. So I could make it so I never would have to think about it, you know?
That makes sense though, because you're jumping over and it's useful
Yeah.
to look at those other charts too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate it.
Mhm.
Sorry, keep doing that with nose. Let's give it a little bit more room. All right. My thinking here is just it's going to either move or not. That's given. But get all my stop losses below the RDA on chart 2.
top field.
Okay, CLG needs to be rolled forward. Once again, we're kind of hitting that what I spoke about before, which was, look, the move might not happen until the last 20 minutes of the market. So are you going to stick it out and wait for that, or what are you going to do? So that's looks like that's what's going to happen, is that if it's going to move, it's not going to move at least for another few minutes.
Order filled.
So I'm, I guess I could share this while I'm typing this. Okay. So I'm just responding to someone, just had questions. Like I said, I'm usually, things aren't moving, I'm doing other stuff. I'm working on the indicators, but the more I look at the system and the rules and everything that's built around the Rexdog trading system, I say that what you do is number one, you can't trade another man's system, another person's system. Got to make it your own. But then the system, when traded within the rules and kind of the guidelines of the system, has risk management built in a way, because number one, when you're first starting out as a trader, there's two type of trades, right? So there are two type of trades. There's momentum and fade. And fade is intimately, that's a proper word, but immensely more troublesome and difficult to execute than what is a momentum trade. Because a momentum trade is what we've seen here today. Today it's been long, and if you would have just went long on key areas, on pullbacks, this whole afternoon, you would have been on the right side of the market. I mean, it was pretty obvious to most people, but every time frame in our system was saying that it was momentum and bias long. So, when you look at that, okay, inherently when you do fade trades, you're fading at least one or two or three time frames that is opposite of what the system is telling you is the underlying direction and bias of the market. And so it's like you trying to stop, you jumping in front of a road and trying to stop a car, or, trying to limit getting hurt or whatever. Obviously, you have to be that's not the right analogy, but it's much harder because you're going against the bias and momentum of the market. So the reason why when I say discipline and risk management is kind of built in is because the system says you should only be executing trades in certain areas, certain reaction zones. And you want a couple correlations ideally. But if you're executing trades and you can't say, I did this trade because it hit, it hit the fast momentum, or it was a strong level on chart 4 and then it correlated to this on chart 2. You just can't trade anywhere on the chart. You're limited to only trade on what you would expect to be high probability reaction areas that you see time and time again. So ultimately, a lot of systems, and this is lost on some people, and it's hard to describe, but a lot of systems you can almost trade just about anywhere. Of course, you have indicators, and they want alignment and everything else, and things to correlate. But with momentum trades, there's only a few places you can enter, and you want to see correlation. So those are much easier to master. And the discipline is, if you can just do that and never fade the market, you're going to master the ability to fade the market through doing momentum trades, because that time that you're spending, you need chart time. I believe you need at least a year of chart time. And at a minimum, oh, we saw a spike down there. That's pretty serious. So we'll see what's going to happen here. You need a minimum of a year of chart time, a minimum. You could get it done quicker if you're aggressive and everything else. But after 2 or 3 months, you should start seeing progress, because you've limited your trading opportunities. You've limited what you're looking for. You're limiting what you're available to trade. You're really only trading in the momentum of the market. I'm trying to make a point and trade here at the same time. We just had a pull back down to, what do we hit exactly? We hit 0.84, almost on the nose, 0.83. So I'm going to divide this up. I hear other people either getting knocked out or adding to positions as well.
Order filled. Order filled.
All right. So something happened the last 20 minutes of the market, as I was talking about earlier, which is, look, this move might happen. Well, what do we get? We got a pullback to what I said was the charts were telling you was the most important level,
Order filled.
which was that 0.84 level. You don't want to see that tested again. So that better not get tested again.
Order filled. Order filled. Order filled.
I'm in at 20 lots long, 17096 entry. Not the best entry. Well, for someone that asked on what is the RDA? It's the Rexdog average. Free indicator here on TradingView. All right. I'm going to hold this because I still, 0.84 needs to hold, or not needs to hold. That's the level.
Order filled. Order filled.
Well, it's stalled. Let's see. 17092 is the new level that really is key if you want to get granular based on chart 1. I'm going to put protective stops below my entry in lots of 5, just so in case it does spike, I don't take a loss bigger than I want to. I have about 4 grand now. I'm going to give it enough room to make that move to get up to that. Maybe it is going to stall at 130. Maybe that's as far as it's going to get. I'm good with maybe picking up the rest of the stuff tomorrow, or if you feel like going tonight, that's fine. Sorry, just sent a message.
Order filled.
All right, there we go. Someone's entering. You guys entering or getting out? What's going on? Anybody want to share? I am long, like I said, and none of my stops are above my entry yet. We do have our first test here. The most important level, I would say, here on the upside that we want to see breached and held is 17,111. So 111. Want to see. The good thing is that my position is below the momentum and bias on chart 2. So if the bias gets broken, I might consider just getting out and just taking a $2,000 profit, and that's all I'm going to get. But like I said, I've said many times the last 15 of the market. Look, you can go back in charts too. You can see the last 20 minutes, let's say 5 minutes into settlement, 5 minutes. So 5 minutes after market as a cash market close, the last 15 minutes of the market. So from about a little bit 4 minutes from now to about 5 minutes after the cash market close, sometimes you see really impulsive moves. And I mean, I've been in places where I've been the one place I have a local friend, not buddy, more than a buddy, but a friend that runs a local hedge fund. And the few times I've got the ability to go there and see, I say unless I know what's going on in the market, which I never know, then I just try to make sense of what I see and then see if I can trade it with edge. But a lot of what I think it is just rebalancing. I mean, I've been in the office when, due to risk, they had to dump profitable positions and pissing traders off because one edge of the business was over risked in a sector, and those traders lost out as far as holding the positions. So, I remember 2 or 3 traders were basically kind of in a sector, and they were told that the risk manager said that we're gonna, I don't know what phrases he used, but something like risk control or something. You're gonna have to go flat. One dude was pissed because he was working on getting to a profit for a bonus because they can only hold. I mean, some traders just strictly day trade. Some traders can hold overnight, small positions. But he was pissed through no fault of his own, as far as whether or not his position was good, just because the firm overall or the capital that they allocated to that type of trading was too high risk. They had to dump some of it somewhere. All we can do now is wait. I'm putting all my stop losses above entry.
Stop.
There we go.
Stop field.
Got knocked out on volatility. I made 29.47.
Order field. Order field.
I'm long again. 15 lots. This is aggressive trading, by the way. I suggest most people probably stop unless you've been trading unless you are in a position you're just drilling your stops. But I'd suggest unless you're adept at trading when the volatility gets like this in the last 10 minutes in the market, because it can easily move from 150. It could easily move from 110 all the way down to 0.90 quick. Of about 2,400. So I got knocked out in profit and I re-entered at 15 lots, trailing my stop losses in 5. Lots of 5. Up about 3,200. Hit that 125. Didn't hit the 130, but we'll see.
understand this graph, and you'll never feel.
Whoa, what's going on there, Shorty? Good knocked out. Not maximizing my profit because I'm not really watching it. I'm just letting it trail up and knock me out. Did a slow momentum check.
Stop field.
Well, welcome. In this video, we'll briefly. Whoa.
Stop field.
Still made profit, but just eking through a couple thousand here. Not maximizing my profit. I think I'm done for the day. I still think I see a long trade here. So we'll do this and then I'll see if I get picked up on a spike down. Complete arbitrary trade here. They either happen or don't.
Order filled. Order filled.
There we go. Is it going to sell off? We'll know here. All right. I'll put trailing stops and either, it's like I picked up at 15 lots again, pull back, and I'm just going to let it trail me out. It's either going to use that pullback as a base for the next 10 minutes. So 5 minutes of the market close, cash market close, and then 5 minutes into settlement or after, not into settlement. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe I should have took profit there at that RDA or at the momentum check. You'll see here in these next 3 candles on chart 2. Momentum has shifted. I'm ready to get out. Maybe a $500 loss. Let's see. If I get back in profit, then I won't. But there we go. All right. Better hold the momentum line. I want to see it get up to 113 here pretty quick. Otherwise, I'll just get out. Quick scalp at the end of the day here. I'm not watching the chart, by the way, so I don't know what it's doing. I just have my trailing stops in. I'm more just doing a few things here. Oh, there we go. I think I got into profit. up about. I'll give it room. Momentum and biases shift. I'll give it room to move. Well, let's see if it'll impulse up to the level 120. Breaks 120, that'll probably continue going. All right. At this point, what I should do is put my trailing stops above my entry. And there we go. Up about $3,000. Let's see where I end up in this position. If it knocks me out here on a pullback or if it continues to whip up here in the last 1 minute of market. All my stop loss are, except for one, is in profit.
Stop field. Stop field.
This trade's just going to net me another $1,800 or so, probably. Not bad, I guess. There we go, market close. Bam.
Stop field.
Yeah, about 17 something on that trade. Could have been up to 35, 3,600. I just didn't take any profits. All right. Well, any questions before I jump off? I'm going to jump off here. I'm going to try to be around tomorrow, probably in the morning session. If not, I'll be around in the mid-afternoon to at least answer questions and be around. For the group, for alphas, if you haven't joined Discord, join Discord down below. I'll share my P&L here in a little bit. I need a break. But I'll go and share my P&L in Discord. Everybody had a good trading day. Anybody that wants to ask questions or say anything before we jump off here?
I just want to say thanks. It's great having you here and great watching you trade. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll thank you as well.
As always, awesome day. Thank you. Thank you, Rex Doc.
Yeah, it's been fun. And hopefully, like I said, I was trying to do in the beginning, trying to share more of my inner dialogue. Hopefully that style, I think helps. So I'm trying to do more of that.
Very, very useful. Very useful.
Yeah, what I want to, one thing I'll say about that to keep in mind is, and I'll probably repeat this again, is that that's what I'm thinking in that moment. That could change, obviously, depending on chart conditions, right? So, but I guess here in my inner dialogue, I realized as I was looking back and said, what can I do better as I go on, as I kind of get back to streaming and spending time in the room. And I thought sharing more of my inner dialogue is one thing I could do a lot better. So definitely. Sweet. Well, let's look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow. I'm working on, like I said, the next couple indicators here. It's just my time. Like I said, two people in the house got COVID. So they've been kind of quarantined in their areas, but then I've had to kind of help out and do stuff and everything else. So that took more of my time. I didn't get to do some of the things I had planned out. Well, awesome. Well, thanks everybody for joining. Hopefully everybody had a great trading day. One thing I'd suggest is if you are still, if you're having challenges, you haven't fully nailed it down, take some time to journal. Always have a number one thing you're working on and then grade yourself on that number one thing. So you should have already have a number one thing that is hindering your trading or your successful trading, your ability to, if you're trading demo, that number one thing is whatever's hindering you from moving from demo to have those green days in a row so that you move over to live capital. So you should always have a number one thing. If you're trading live capital, you should still have a number one thing that is hindering whatever you're trading may be. So there generally always is at least one thing, if at a minimum, that is a challenge in your trading that you should be working on and grading to make sure that you're actively working on it to improve. So sweet. Great to see everybody here, and I look forward to seeing everybody here tomorrow. Have a great evening or day, wherever you may be out in the world.
All right, you too. Be safe.
Yeah.